Right folks, welcome to this exciting video where you once again join us in the wild landscape of Scotland. And for today's adventure, we're about to go and document an incredible piece of abandoned Scottish history here from potentially 500 BC. Today also we're joined by the channel DJ for this adventure. I just about forgot to mention it folks. And we're kind of near the Pitcur area in Scotland. And we're about to go and document an old one of these souterrains, which we have been to a couple of these over the years in different places. So it's cool to compare them and see what remains of the ancient history, which is from so long ago that people don't actually know the real reason these things were constructed. Shout out to that person that was tooting there, probably a fan of the channel, get in the comments. And yeah, it's just a madness once again. We just literally go full send into the countryside and we're just heading up between these two fields because we always come with the greatest respects, like the landowners and the farmers. We're just wanting to document the abandoned history that's on display, and then we're on our way. And I believe this old souterrain should just be up here somewhere. It's the true paradise scenes of Scotland. At this time of year, all the farmers are out seeding their fields and sowing them, and some of them's out here spraying. And I can see this field here's growing pretty well. Maybe in another few weeks all these other fields will be green as well, and that's the sign of the springtime and the summer starting to come. In a few weeks as well, this will probably be too overgrown to even walk up. That's the trouble in Scotland, like in the summertime you can hardly get to the ancient history. Here we go folks, look at this. We're right in the heart of Scottish history once again on the channel folks. And look at this. You can see the outline, the footprint here. Yeah, wow. See, this is the thing folks. There's ones that's been found, say at like Airlie or Teelan. The Airlie one's still covered, but there could be these other bits near it that are just unfound and unseen.
I think that's the way in.
Yeah. It's strange though, it's like this. It almost makes you think there could be more under the ground, even at like the Teelan one or whatever. Because often it's just a crescent shape from the ones I've seen, so it's interesting to compare it to this. Wow, look at this folks, just imagine at one time all this would have been covered, I reckon.
Yeah.
And it's almost like an underground labyrinth here. In Scotland you never know what is under your feet, and these date back to the Iron Age period in Scotland, so that's like 500 BC or even older. Wow. Yeah, this could be the actual start of it.
Yeah,
and then you would come in, but look, it goes away over there as well. Plus it's going away under there.
You can come in and go that way and you can go this way.
This is absolutely insane to see it folks, and just think about how long ago those stones were actually put in. Thousands of years ago. Yeah, is there no an entranceway going in down to the right? Yeah, we don't even know like where we're going on this one folks. It's just a spontaneous adventure into history here. And at one time these massive flat stones were actually over the top of here like a roof. Wow, look at it, one of these flat stones remains. Yeah, look at this, this is absolutely insane. And think about how big this originally actually was. Considering, obviously, we saw it goes out in a different curve around that far side. And then we've got this curve on the inner edge here. Wow, look at this. Little secret entrances and stuff leading off to the side. What is that even about, folks? Just look at that. It's been like a little man escape tunnel, or maybe if they got attacked, it was different ways of escaping. See the proper scientific theory on what these were for. They think that they had a little house on the surface, and then this was an entrance they had under the ground for storing their crops. But I believe that history isn't 100% true. Nobody actually knows the real reason all this was under the ground. It could be just from an ancient style of living back in the day. But my theory is that they used to travel over the land with their animals to trade them, and a place like this they could bring their whole flock of sheep and stuff in overnight away from wolves and other mad animals that were around Scotland back at that time. Let's head on in, look at it, there's like a little doorway. This is absolutely incredible. Wow. Oh, another one of these little entrance ways in. Or see, I would say it's more likely a thing like this here would have been where they stored the food. Wow, I'm going to stick close to the wall here, folks, so we can actually see something on the screen, because it's just that dark. Wow. Ken, what I'm going to do? So this clip now, folks, I've actually... Whoa, I nearly dropped the torch. I've actually enhanced the brightness now, folks, and you can see a little bit better than what we could a minute ago. And look at the size of this. We're walking down it. I can't even see the end. We are walking down into this ancient underground chamber, and there's a cold breeze.
Oh wait, we're at the end.
Wow. Look, there's the entrance back there, folks. Check that out. And just think about this though.
Small part of it.
Just imagine originally though, when this whole thing was covered over, how far you would walk to come in. And just think, they wouldn't have had torches or anything back at that time.
No.
Yeah, look at it here. See, I believe that though, this is not the original end of it.
This is filled in.
Yeah, it's just earth and stuff, isn't it? Because look, you can clearly see the stonework keeps on going. Wow, this is amazing, folks. See, in the last Souterrains as well, there's actually snakes and stuff carved into the roof. So I'm not sure if this one here is a similar deal.
And the one at Teelan had a carving as well.
Yeah, wow. This is just amazing. It's blowing my mind here, folks, what we're witnessing today. Just think, folks, how long ago these stones were actually placed in here. 500 BC, a man laid these in and then set this across the top. That's so long ago. The sort of history on this channel, it's a variation of history. One minute you're thinking a castle for the 1400s is ancient, and then next video you're in a thing like this, even older, thousands of years older. Now the home to some wildlife probably, or whatever comes round this way. But I'm just amazed at how it looks with that kind of like mossy entranceway down there at the far end. Wow. Anyway, folks, I've been brightening that couple of clips there because it's so dark in here, but I'll put it back to the standard brightness now. Check it out, folks. Look at the size of these massive stones here. They're just huge. And that's similar to what we've seen at other Souterrains as well. It's big stones and then the smaller ones curve. They get narrower at the top. And then it's got these massive big flat stones on the top, like a roof. And that seems to be the way they construct things. They were always narrow like this at the top, almost the shape of a man.
This is one quite tall compared to the early one, eh?
Yeah, but I think the early one was full of so much sediment and dirt. The same as this, it does have quite a lot in it. Whoa, look at the size of this spider here, folks. This is insane. It might not even come out on the camera. Big spiders down here. Just think, even when this was put in, it's been an ancient time. Wow, imagine finding a thing like this. Often these get ploughed up. Back in the 1800s and stuff, farmers with their horse and that were ploughing away, and they discovered the big flat stones, and then before they know it, under the ground, they discover a massive underground chamber or labyrinth of tunnels, and you have to think it's all fallen in. That's how some bits look like this. But you can see it's clear, original little tunnels. You can see the similarity between this and then that entrance, and it just shows you it was maybe all connected under the ground at a certain time, or it was all little separate bits. It just happens to be one of them seems to have fallen in more than the others. Look, there's been a tree growing here at a certain time. Wow, this whole place, it's like going to some kind of fairy tale wonderland. See now out in the brightness, you can still see the original shape sloping and getting narrower at the top. Wow, this is amazing. This outer piece as well, the shape of this is just mad. The interesting thing with these, it's not just ever a straight line. They always go round funny shapes and funny curves. Just check out this outer perimeter bit of here. The size of this site is just blowing my mind. Then look at this, the little archway. There's more tunnels leading off that way. Yeah, this is the kind of thing that I love to video and document, folks, because every year a place like this falls down more and more. The weather takes its toll, and the ancient history can often go, it disappears. Look at this here, look, there's been another entranceway carrying on down that way. And then there's been this here, which is just hanging on to its final existence. And then look, we've got this other way leading out into that secondary chamber that leads right around the outside. Wow, there's loads of spiders and stuff, but I'm thinking I'm going to head through it. You know what it's all about on this channel, folks. We're all for the adventure. Ancient Souterrain history. Yeah, because that's insane. When you're inside that other bit, it feels like you're in the most outer side. Oh, is that another entrance? Look there. So that shows, folks, it's circles within circles and layers within layers within these underground labyrinths and chambers. Maybe one day we'll have to go back to the early one again and analyse it and see if there's anything we missed originally.
This one's got...
Yeah, see, you wouldn't have thought this whole system here would have been used for storage of grain and stuff.
This is too vast.
It's too big. That's how I think kind of everybody's just guessing what they think a thing like this was for. The civilization back then was so different to modern civilization. And it really is just, you have to have a look and kind of make your own theories up as to what the real history was in an area like this. And I believe it does look like you could put a lot of animals or whatever in here overnight, keep them away from like wolves or crazy other creatures, but also like
if you... separate quarters for the...
Yeah, the thing is though, they might have used it also for food, but if you lived here yourself, you would need fire for the light.
Yeah. So
I'm not sure if they had little outlets on the roof for the smoke to go, because fire would have been the only source of light back then. Yeah, and this does look original. Yeah, but I think those entrances would have led into another bit like this around the side. And then I think the most outer wall would have been the smooth one. But I think there must have been something else at that side that we can't see nowadays, if you can what I mean. Yeah, because it's crazy, folks. Look at the size of that entrance where I just came out below. It's a proper original doorway. See what I would say maybe? Would that be the original door into the main... That's the original front entrance there. And all that would have been covered up originally. And all this would have been covered up. But this here wouldn't have been the entrance.
Nah.
There must have been a way of coming in.
I think this one. Or quite possibly where we were at.
Yeah, see, I think this originally links up with where we were at the dark end of that tunnel. But also, it's like there's been something down this other side. Because, see, the reason I was saying this would have been the main entrance is because I was thinking, can this hole that's under the wall here, can this would have maybe been the only way in at a certain time? Because it faces outside everything else that's built. Whereas all these other walls are just sealed. But if that is the case, it looks like that would have been like a bit of a storage area here. And then it's got that proper stone flat face. And then once you go in there, there's no other door that's like that. Again, all the rest of the doors, even that one that we went in under the ground, looks slightly different. So this could have been the main house in the middle, or like living quarters, but it's strange. Maybe for strength they built it that shape. But it is strange how all the souterrains are built in a similar design with the stone narrow at the top. The same architects were definitely involved, folks. And that was how I originally thought. It was maybe people who would walk over the land, drove in animals or different things like that. They would go to the nearest suter, and maybe each souterrain was like a day's walk away from each other.
So this is before we became settlers.
Yeah, potentially. It was more like a trade place. The person would go and stay overnight and then move on to the next place, potentially. But that's all just ideas and theories, folks. But I believe this souterrain actually continues right on under here. And it'll continue to underneath where we were. When we went underneath the ground, we were under here. But you can actually see there's clear like marks in the ground here, folks, where the souterrain is under our feet. Because look at it here. That's like a hole into the souterrain. Oh aye, the entrance goes all the way up that way. See, so look, there's definitely been more here. So this must lead to that, kind of how we thought we saw a wee doorway. It must have been just layer upon layer of ancient suter.
It could link up with that if you follow it.
Yeah, just so much though has been there. So much history, folks, is just under your feet in Scotland. And I'm sure this one, it was the same as the Teelan one. The boy ploughed it up. But it's mad because we saw the early one. I just about got the name wrong there, folks. We saw the early one that was fully covered. We saw the Teelan one that was fully exposed. And now look at this one, it's half dug out, and then half of it is still covered over. So it gives you an idea of the different conditions these things can be in.
There could be anywhere.
And there could be more over there, because there's big stones behind those trees.
You wouldn't know it's there.
That's true. You would not know these things is under your feet. There could be so many more.
Yeah.
And the fact it's for like 500 BC, that also makes you think how much earth and vegetation is built up on top of that. Because you can see from down there, there's probably a good 1.5 meters of earth. And like some of the castles we've been to, the vegetation grows up and up the more years that pass. Yeah, that's such a cool entranceway into the darkness right there, folks. That's the kind of history that we'll love to show you on the channel. It's like real abandoned history of Scotland. That's true. We could have walked over. Any time you see stones like that, you should ask the question. Yeah, is it a souterrain potentially? I was away to come and have a look at these stones under this tree. Yeah, so I think probably a lot of the stones on this site lying about, they're probably all related to the original souterrain. And it looks like this has been the original design ending like this. And then it's had that other doorway, which is the only thing that links this up. It's like there's been those outer parts and then the inner parts. The reason it's built in such an order is really a mystery of history. So it's amazing to think, folks, this ancient history here is just hidden under a field in Scotland and could be hidden anywhere underneath your feet when you're in Scotland. It's been incredible to come and see it, and it's amazing it's still open here and we're able to get in. And it's just blowing my mind to see the way this vegetation and stuff grows over the top. I love that scene with the moss and the way the ferns and stuff grow. It's the character of the land right there, and the character of the ancient history within it. And what a shot that is, eh? It's almost like some crazy old like Lord of the Rings scene or whatever. And it is mad on this channel. I never know where we're going to end up, and when I see something like this, the ancient history that goes along with it, it's just crazy. And those massive lintel stones right there, folks, they're left to tell the story of the history. Just like these massive mossy ones at this side, which have met their fate. Anyway, let's head on out of this. It's been mad. Cooper Angus has got some cool ancient Scottish history to be seen. Videos like this keep it alive for next generations to see if it falls down with some of these wet winters and crazy stormy conditions. At least the farmer is like he's fenced it off, so he's protecting it. But I would think under the edge of his field there's probably more of these little tunnels leading under. So it is just impressive the amount of work that's been done. Think about the amount of earth and stuff that was excavated even to do that, and then the amount of stonework and the strength of it. Credit to it, it stood for so long. They must think though that it goes all the way over there, or they wouldn't have to fence that far. Wow, folks, real history once again. Look at the size of this hill on the faraway side there. It looks amazing. The shape of the land. What a view from a place like this. When an old structure like this souterrain was put in, you have to imagine the land around here would have been so different. Maybe this was in a clearing in the forest. maybe it was just like looking over a jungle back at that time. Who even knows what threats there may have been in the land either back at that time. Maybe these places were hidden like this under the ground for safety, so they weren't invaded, or maybe nobody knew they had such a large flock of sheep or whatever. Or it's just interesting. It could have been what they had to do to stop their sheep and stuff getting stolen for maybe different clans or other wild barbarians that went across the land back at that time. Yeah, the wolves would have been going around in packs just looking for a feed, and you can only imagine what that must have been like. You can see here we're above the line of the Souterrain now, and look at the rough stones on the top.
Yeah, we just continue.
Yeah, just must keep going, and I can see a big stone there, so it probably leads right into that labyrinth up there of tunnels. It's just crazy, folks, because it's so long ago. That's the mind-blowing thing. Ken, you would literally, normally old history is like a few hundred years old, but this here, we're talking like thousands of years ago.
This is like during the time.
Yeah, before Christ. We're talking about 500 BC or before it.
No stone structure.
Yeah, a lot of them would have had wee, kind of like some of those islands though, they do have wee houses that's kind of under the ground, ancient like that as well, but they've got more of a setup, kind of like a fireplace, and like other things that you would expect in a house.
It looks more like a house.
Yeah, these just don't look like a modern house. It's mad. Yeah, it's just super interesting. And then I'm not sure what they had for a source of light back then apart from the fire, so they would always have to have that wee source of fire with them, because if it's deep under the ground, even during the day, that would have been dark, and that's how you wouldn't think it would be fully sustainable or livable. And from here we can actually see the castle from the last adventure down at this little farm. It was unfortunately locked when we went to the door of it, but you can see the full adventure in the last episode on the channel, folks, if you go back. Today though, it's been a completely different scene out here, and I've just loved it. Those Souterrains are some of my favourite things to explore, and it's just amazing the way the stones is all built like that, all different shapes and sizes. Think of the folk, the culture back then when they were putting those stones in. It's just mad. Like, what were they seeing when they stuck their head up above the land and looked around? Right folks, that's us just about back to the car. We're down at the main road now, and the old Souterrain's just about a field's worth up there on the hill. But what a crazy adventure this has been today. It's been mad what we've seen up there on the hill, and thinking about the people that originally constructed it and maybe stayed around that area using it for its original purpose. Wonder what they were eating on their tea plate at night, eh? Probably something they grew out here in this land at a certain time. Anyway, I'm going to end this video here. Thanks very much for watching. Goodbye for me, goodbye for the channel DJ, and we'll be back soon with the next adventure, wherever we end up going.